Hello and welcome to the Twins system recap. We're talking about the midweek games across the Twins minor league system. Here are your results and then records. Twins get swept, but it's by the Dodgers. So, I mean, that almost doesn't count, right? But they fall to 38-44. The Colonels have been crushed this week. That team, seeing the Colonels at 31-38, that just feels super unfamiliar and just wrong. That's just been a really successful affiliate for the Twins. The Twins have sent a lot of good talent through there through the years. I don't know the last time they were this far below 500 as a Twins affiliate. They used to be an Angels affiliate not that long ago. Pretty bad start to the week across the board, to be honest. So let's move forward. I wish I had more positive news coming here. Oh, Marco Raya, that's positive. He got called up to the big leagues for the first time. He's not gotten into a game yet, but so far in June for the Saints, 8 innings pitched, no runs, and no walks, and 7 strikeouts. That's the biggest thing. No walks for Raya. Inconsistent, but when you catch him on a good day, he's pretty exciting. Cody Funderburk also joined the Twins. Kendry Rojas was optioned back to St. Paul. Matt Barr was activated off the 60-day IL. Not sure what's next for him, but James Ellwanger had elbow surgery, and he's going to miss all of this season and possibly all of next season, the way the timelines sound, at least most of next season. And then Charlie Soto's rehab has been postponed due to forearm tightness. So a guy who's been out forever, only pitched less than a handful of games last year, was on rehab assignment. That's shut down. So that's a pretty crushing blow. I'm going to talk Charlie Soto and James Ellwanger are kind of in a group of prospects that have really been a letdown. And it's really after the number 11, once you get outside the top 10, I mean, it's not like there aren't good prospects. I'll be updating my prospect list soon, so that's why I'm thinking about this. But it's not like this is some kind of disastrous system after that point, but there are so many disappointments or so many guys. Charlie Soto's 20, so him missing all this time, at the end of the day, is that going to matter all that much? We'll see. But Ellwanger and Soto, Quentin Young, we're going to talk about Quentin Young, one of the scariest players, but still, I think an interesting prospect. But you have to look at the way he's performed, and he's not moved up, that's for sure. There's just so many guys in that tier who have not. Adrian Bajorquez is kind of in that area. Without having that in front of me, just a lot of guys who basically was looking forward. And a lot of guys have been hurt too, even in the top 10 or dozen or so. So. It's been a tough year for what was hoping to be really exciting. There's been exciting stuff, but I'm going through that prospect list again. Look out for that, and then of course the draft in the middle of next month in July. That's obviously going to be a huge impact to prospect lists, and the way things are going, I'll probably have quite a few of those draftees fairly high up in my rankings. But anyway, for more draft coverage, go check out Limestone Pipeline, a Patreon project with me and Jamie Cameron. Jamie is the utmost Twins resource in terms of draft coverage, so check that out. 3 stars for Tuesday, though. Let's move on into the meat and potatoes. This was a poor. Maybe I'm just in a bad mood today. I don't know. But Tuesday, only 10 runs scored across the entire system. No home runs hit. Nobody recorded multiple extra base hits. So keep that in mind as we go through these stars. Cole Peschel, reliever for the Colonels, 2 1/3 shutout innings, perfect innings with 3 strikeouts. He's been pitching well. 2024 15th round pick, with a 2.95 ERA and a 0.90 whip in his first year pitching exclusively out of the bullpen. So not a guy we talk about a lot because he's pitching on short bursts, but just want to call it he has pitched well. Second star, Preston Johnson, a guy the Twins signed out to Indy Ball, but had formerly been in the Orioles system and has a cup of coffee in AAA. So he's pitching in AA, 4 innings and 1 run ball, only 2 hits and 2 walks, 4 Ks. He's had a bit of an uneven performance overall, but 30 strikeouts in 24 and 2/3 innings. That's about 11 K per nine and a 27 K percentage for Preston Johnson. So wouldn't surprise me if he gets back up to AAA at some point, though the Wind Surge certainly need innings. First star of Tuesday, Ryan Sprock. Ryan Sprock was at least an honorable mention of all 3 games over the weekend, and now he is going to be someone we talk about all 3 games to start this week. Ryan Sprock is on fire. 1 for 2 with 3 walks, reaches 4 times with a stolen base. Again, on a regular day, maybe this wouldn't be that big of a deal, but this was a very poor day across the system, and this gives us a chance to just highlight Ryan Sprock, who's been incredible. He extended his hitting streak to 16 games. He took 5 swings in this game and reached base 4 times, but again, we'll be talking about Ryan Sprock some more. So let's just move on to the honorable mentions for Tuesday. Walker Jenkins, Garrett Spain, Jayson Hill, Eduardo Tait, and Justin Mitrovic. Walker Jenkins hit a triple off of Hunter Green in what was his first AAA game in 50 days for Jenkins. That was a 99-mile-per-hour fastball that he hit 108.7 miles per hour and 400 feet. So not a huge game for Jenkins, but that was quite a notable happening there. Jayson Hill only went 2 innings, pitched fine. Again, it was a quiet day across the system. That was his first game in 2 weeks. I was initially kind of confused why he only went 2 innings. But this was his first game in over 2 weeks. So I think that's why he only went 2. And just want to call out that Merrick Houston in his AA debut went 1 for 5 with a stolen base for the Wind Surge. So moving on to Wednesday, some more to talk about from Wednesday. Jason Bass of Fort Myers is my 3rd star. 3 for 4 with a home run, a walk, and a stolen base. This guy, speaking of prospect lists, this guy's probably going to be my biggest riser on my list. We'll see. Again, I'm working on that still, but I'm very excited about Jason Bass. The power is legit from this guy. He also has some speed as he's stolen base, but a well put together guy. He had exit velocities of 108.5 and 105.5 in this game. A 20-year-old from Mexico, and he's got a 357 OBP and a 450 slugging in the Florida State League right now, again, as a 20-year-old. So, again, kind of was on the glass half empty mind. If you want a glass half full, Jason Bass is one of the guys who's really popping for me. Second star, though, Aaron Rozak, lefty from Burnsville. He's got a 2.79 ERA in 42 innings with the Saints. A veteran minor leaguer, we'll put it that way. Guy who gets 5 strikeouts and 9 swinging strikes, 5 of them from his changeup. That's despite topping out at 88 miles per hour. Still getting by. He gave up 2 solo homers, but 6 innings from Aaron Rozak. Can't complain about that. First star, though, wow, Ryan Sprock. Once again, I can't remember the last time somebody went back-to-back on a first star, but it was probably Alan Roden earlier in the year. He extended his hitting streak to 17 games and reached base 6 times. He took 7 swings in this one and reached base 6 times. Also stole 2 bases, so 3 for 3 with a double and 3 walks, 2 stolen bases, 2 runs, and an RBI. Again, Ryan Sprock, he might be the hottest hitter across minor league baseball in June right now. Not hitting for a ton of power, but just nobody can get this guy out. He's been incredible for Fort Myers. On to the honorable mentions for Wednesday: Tanner Schobel, Enrique Jimenez, Brandon Winokur, Henry Kuziak, and Quentin Young. So Quentin Young has had some good games. But Brandon Winokur, 2 for 4 with a double and a home run. He has a 371 on-base percentage. I've mentioned him a couple of times as a guy I think is a little bit under the radar in terms of his performance. I don't know if there's that prospect fatigue thing. He kind of had a not a very inspiring year in Cedar Rapids last year, and maybe he's kind of under the radar-ish a bit. But 21 years old, and he kind of looks like he's maturing at the plate. Walk rate was 8.3 for the past 2 seasons, and then it's up to 13.9 this year. So a huge jump in walks. His K rate is up for the year, but that's because he was really bad in April with that. But between May and June, he's got a 24% K percentage. It's right around his 2025 mark. So a little bit more kind of stabilizing there. Do want to call out on Wednesday, Riley Quick gave up 3 runs on 6 hits and 4 walks over 3 2/3 innings, but he did strike out 6. So kind of an uneven performance from him Let's move on to Thursday. The three stars of Thursday. Third star, Eduardo Tait, who's having a great month. 2 for 3 with a double, a walk, and a run. He only has a 310 OBP in June, but he has a 608 slugging percentage. So we're not going to complain about that. Extra base hits like crazy for Eduardo Tait this month. Moving on to the second star, Ramiro Villanueva for Fort Myers. The pitcher who's really caught my eye. Another 20-year-old from Mexico, much like Jayson Bass. He's excellent at keeping hitters off balance. 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Command is spotty, but it's getting better. His control's coming around, only 1 walk his last 3 outings. It's 13 2/3 innings. Topped out at 93.6 in this one, and gets most of his whiffs on his changeup and his slider. So missed all of last season, did Villanueva, so kind of working off some rust. Had a nice outing on Thursday. But the first star, Quentin Young. To be honest, Thursday wasn't really an action-packed, day full of great performances either. So Quentin Young becomes the first star, despite having not the greatest game, but he definitely had the biggest moment, to walk-off home run for Fort Myers. Hit a 95.9 mile per hour fastball. So 96 mile per hour fastball. We're used to see that's fairly run-of-the-mill in an MLB game that doesn't catch your eye. But down in single A, that was actually the second hardest pitch of that game. And you see a lot of games with in the Florida State League where nobody gets that high. Hits that for a walk-off homer, an exit velocity of 108.1. Quentin Young is within the top. I looked it up and now I forgot. He's in the top 15 among all of the minor leagues in number of balls hit in excess of 108 miles per hour. Now, on the one hand, there's not publicly available tracking for most of the leagues, but on the other hand, it is available for all of AAA. So that means, about as often as anybody. So the power is completely legit. Again, I kind of referred to how scary he is as a prospect, though. Strikes out like crazy. He has struck out 3 times in this game. Lots of errors at shortstop. I wouldn't even be playing him at shortstop anymore. That was always kind of a pipe dream. I think third base is still on the table. Just I'm curious how he's going to respond in the offseason. Of course, we have more time this season for him to get things back put together. But really, the opportunity to me is in the offseason. What is this guy going to do to address these issues? But yeah, there's still flashy, as we'll see in a moment here. He still has some big games. He still has some big moments. Again, kind of a beneficiary of a slow day, but that was pretty cool to see him crush one. Among the honorable mentions, Paul Sean Pascalotto, Mitch Mueller, Kalen Fang, Luis Fragoza, and Ryan Sprock. I do want to circle back to Fragoza, but Sprock extends his hitting streak to 18 games. He's one shy of the Fort Myers record now. Set in 2014 by Mike Gonzalez. So we'll see on Friday if he can tie that record. He has a 560 OBP this month. He's only struck out 4 times in 84 plate appearances as Ryan Sprock. So just can't give that guy enough love. A catcher, too, guy trying to learn how to catch, plays third base as well. It's dabbled in left field, but that doesn't look like it's a thing to pursue. We'll put it that way. Luis Fragoza, though, another young international signing guy with Fort Myers who's looking good. 19-year-old from Venezuela. He's played all 3 outfield positions, first base and third base. As you see here, he played third base on Thursday. He has a 944 OPS in 28 games with Fort Myers. If he were to be qualified for the league leaders, he hasn't played all that much, 28 games. He would lead the league in OPS if he qualified. Now, he's striking out a lot. He's not showing a lot of plate discipline, and I think eventually pitchers and teams will figure out, oh, wait a minute, this guy's actually somebody we got a game plan for. So I expect him to probably hit a rough patch here eventually, but really exciting early returns from Luis Fragoza with Fort Myers. And, part of why Thursday was a lighter performance-wise was that the Saints were postponed. So keep that in mind. Star scoreboard for the year, Ryan Sprock, as you might have guessed, has rocketed up this scoreboard and is now in 4th place for the year. And you can only imagine, we'll take a look at June in a moment here. I'm sure you can imagine what that looks like. But Quentin Young, again, I alluded to it. This guy, his overall numbers are terrible. Watching him is frightening sometimes, but then you see some flashes, and he's had some big games for Fort Myers. I do want to call out, I would never use this star scoreboard thing to evaluate a hitter. But I think this is just a fun second look at, beyond their season to date numbers. I think this is an interesting thing to see, who stands out. And I do think Quentin Young stands out on, a fairly regular occasion. It's just that much like Billy Amick, who he's tied with, it's like a desert sometimes, and there's just nothing for games upon games upon games. So, this is the first year I've been doing these. I like this format. The star scoreboard thing is just kind of a fun way to arrange a conversation more than anything. But I will say this, a lot of people are not pleased that I'm not sharing highlights, which I do share highlights on Limestone Pipeline. I know people probably sick of me talking about that, but if you want to see highlights, I do share some there. But I will say, on these system recaps, I'm giving probably 4 times as much information in each of these videos than I had in the previous years where I did show highlights. So anyway, I don't know what my point was there, but I'm going to tear my rotator cuff, patting myself on the back. Anyway, the June scoreboard, as you can imagine, Ryan Sprock is way out ahead. Andrew Cassetti, who was really hot earlier this month, but has cooled off some. Eduardo Tait up there as well. Sabato, Roden, Merrick Houston, Matt Wallner, Kalai Rosario, Quentin Young, and Gabriel Gonzalez kind of round that out. Did want to call out that Aaron Rozek is currently the pitching leader for June. That's another thing, you talk about maybe waking up on the wrong side of the bed or just being grumpy. Man, I've talked about it a couple times. The pitching performance, there are still pitching prospects that I think are exciting in the system, but the pitching performance has been really bad. I shared some of those rankings and some of those ERAs compared to league averages a couple videos ago, and basically across the system, even Fort Myers is not pitching as well as they had earlier, but it's been a bad year for pitching performance. Anyway, if you could stick through all the complaining, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk again soon.